closing opposition.
All right, so once again, just to repeat, we're using this chat space that is embedded in the core here, not the one above the debate tab, not the one outside. If you have any POIs indicated there, please put in your speaking order there as well. I think I've seen some teams, OG has done that, CG has done that. Opening your position, I'm awaiting your own speaking order. I hope I'm audible. Opening your position, can you guys hear me? Can someone confirm that I'm audible?
You're audible.
All right. Open your position, please. Your speaking order in the text space. Closing the position, do same. I've dropped the motion in the text space as well. Please, speakers, try to ensure that you do not have like noise at your background. Ensure that you're in an environment that is going to be able to accommodate your audio efficiency as well, please. But just to say a couple of things, please respect speakers' POI preferences. If you want to take, if they want a POI in the chat space, please put your POI in the chat space. Like, I don't mean literally put your POI, like no typing of arguments in the chat space, no typing of all that in the chat space. Just indicate POI in the chat space. I'll be using timestamps as well. So if you want that, I'm going to provide that for you. So with all that out of the way, my name is Collins Ndeluko. I'm going to be the chair for this round. Prime Minister, the floor is yours. Prime Minister, are you there?
Let me just call PM to make sure our connectivity is okay. She was complaining a bit earlier. She has connectivity issues.
Okay, we're just going to give you some time, maybe 3 minutes. Just try to see if you can get your partner here. If they can't join in, I think 5 minutes tops, you probably just give the iron speech. Thank you. Opening government, Team Heritage Heroes. I see 2 people on the call with the name Heritage Heroes. Can you indicate what exactly the issue is?
A wing and a prayer. Or
she's rejoining right
the
now.
enemy.
Okay, you have these 3 more minutes.
God, lift from me the intolerable burden of my ignorance,
Yes, you are.
arrogance, willful blindness, bitterness,
I will be taking
and
clarity
resentment.
at any given time.
As I
But
pray that
okay,
others rise above the same
just
faults
pull up the chat.
and temptation.
I will be looking at the chat. I'll be taking POIs from my 5th minute, and if at any time I am inaudible or I break off, please tell me. Yeah, so I'll be giving high priority to closing opposition, but then I'll try to take both benches within the debate. So when I'm taking POIs, I will just pause my speech and allow you to state your POI. Otherwise, yeah, I hope this will be an engaging debate. Just set up my timer, give me like 30 seconds.
Prime Minister, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, please, before you begin, read the motion again so I can understand. I can ascertain your level of audibility because you're kind of breaking a bit. Just read the motion, please.
assuming feasibility, this house would go to Mars.
All right, proceed.
Okay. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I just want this debate to be as clear as possible. So, what does going to Mars necessarily look like, right? So, this probably looks like, and the way we'd implement this from opening government is that we'll just have like two things, right? We'd have like people who carry the necessary skills that we need. That looks like engineers, astronauts, doctors, and all of these individuals who have this expertise, right? Who are selected on like just a meritocratic basis to be able to like undertake this sort of thing. But secondly, within the individuals or like the general populace of the world in the way in which it exists at that time, we'll have a lottery of some sort to like pick individuals within the population to necessarily like do this at the point in which they choose, and they also like having like individuals choose to be part of this process, i.e. like just buying a lottery ticket or just being willing to be part of the lottery to be selected for this sort of venture. We think that's fine. So what does the world likely look like in 3760? And before I go into that, why the journey itself, and to the extent that the motion itself says assuming feasibility, we don't think any opposition bench can then argue that, oh, something would probably happen during the journey, like you get hit by an asteroid or something, and these individuals die. We think like the debate has to be comparative, right? So what does the world probably look like in 3736? We think it's very likely that the world has formed some sort of like a global alliance or just some sort of global body to be able to take care of these global citizens. The reason why this is true is threefold. Firstly, just on the fatigue of war, right? Understand that in Europe in like the Dark Ages, and what plunged Europe into the Dark Ages was the fatigue of all of the wars of conquest, the loss of manpower, the death of people, the cyclical violence within society. We think even as the world descends, like from this period onwards, as it gets towards 3760, it's very likely that there's this same level of fatigue to the extent that millions of individuals have probably died in multiple wars across the world and all of these things. Vast resources have been used to fund these wars. It's very likely that the world probably like tends towards some sort of peace. But secondly, just the concept of shared suffering, the idea that now the entirety of the human race is being subjected to the implications and the hardships of climate change, the idea that now every single state in the world is probably subjected to very, very harsh weather conditions, and it's very difficult for their own populace to just be able to like survive and all of these things. We think just that concept of shared suffering, just being under the whims of nature and all of those things, is something that probably makes it very likely that the world tends towards like a global sort of like collaboration. But just thirdly, on the necessity to be able to meet like a sort of global front to be able to deal with all of these fatigue and all of the things that I analyzed to you guys. So on urgency, why is it very important that like people undertake this sort of venture to go to Mars, and why is it profitable, right? Firstly, on just climate change, the most intuitive argument, right? I think the first thing I'll establish from opening government is that even if we concede that humanity has some sort of ability to create solar panels and try to mitigate the worst harms of climate change, it's unlikely that we are able to mitigate the worst of the worst harms. The reason why this is true is like twofold. One, just the idea that the current indifference of some states when it comes to climate action, the idea that you have the Paris Agreement, which states signed and some states were excluded, meaning they're not bound by that agreement. But even within the agreement itself, the fact that some members are indifferent to whatever it is they committed to makes it very, very unlikely that we achieve all of the goals that we want to achieve within the timeline that is necessary to combat the worst harms of climate change. We think that is something which is very, very important in this debate, right? So on why climate change is likely exacerbated, why it's very, very likely that we're unable to mitigate the worst harms, and therefore what ought to be valued is just the preservation of the human species, why this gives hope to people on Earth, even if it's the people who don't go to Mars, why this is a new front for innovation, but just still on urgency. One, it's very likely that we lose crucial biodiversity and crucial ecosystems die out to the extent that we are unable to mitigate the worst of these harms. This looks like crucial rainforests and just like ocean ecosystems dying out because of the level of the acidity in the ocean, just because of the factors that I analyzed to you, the indifference of states, the idea that states have a lot of priorities, which probably like cripple their ability to commit fully to these sorts of ventures. Secondly, just the idea that there's increased disease propagation, there's more diseases, there's there's newer diseases, there's reduced cycles between like the propagation or like the cycles of diseases. This probably looks like you have a SARS COVID-19 in 2020. Within like a span of 3 years, you have the same virus coming up again, and all of these things just because of the exacerbated state of nature and just the exacerbated state of like like the air and all of those things and pollution, and how this exacerbates just the ability of bacteria to multiply and all of those things. Thirdly, then is the disproportion between resources and the existence of human population, which means there's like a very significant level of suffering that occurs within this world, right? To the extent that a lot of the biodiversity is dying out. The oceans are acidic, the glaciers are melting, and there's all these multitudes of problems. We think there's a disproportionate like existence of resources then and the human population, right? Meaning these resources are inherently not enough to cater for the entire population. This is probably bad because you have more and more people suffering due to all of the factors that we analyze, right? So at the point in which all of these things are true and you buy all of these things, right? What is the most important thing in this debate? One, I think it's just the ability of the human race. It's just the ability of the human race to continue to exist. We think just this in and of itself, right? To the extent that you're probably facing a doomsday sort of scenario, is something which is very, very important in this debate. The reason why this is important is just because like human beings are the most intelligent species and all of those things just within the like the entire galaxy, to the extent that the existence of aliens hasn't been proven, but that's just like food for thought and any of those things, right? We think just the continued preservation of the existence of people, even if it's on another planet, is something that we value in this debate, right? And why is it likely that people establish better civilizations? And this is something that opposition is likely to challenge. One, just the structure of power and the way power was created, right? Understand that when power was being established in the earth as it is, right, various nations were excluded from that discussion. Entire regions like Africa and Asia were not there. The reason why this is likely to be different in 36, 37, whatever that year is one, because of the analysis I give you of why it's likely that the world tends towards some sort of global collaboration. But secondly, just the idea of diversity and progressivism, right? To the extent that people, even within my like minority groups.
Prime Minister,
yes,
I lost
is that
you.
the chair?
Yes, I lost you. You were at 6 minutes 37 seconds. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible now? What was I
Yes,
saying?
you're audible. Yeah, you're talking about how there's going to be different structures in terms of how there's the countries of the old world were structured in such an unequal way, and why it's likely to be different in the 76 or whatever that year was.
Okay, you said I was 6 minutes 37 seconds. So that means I have around 48 more seconds to go, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay. I
Actually,
will just
30 something. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just finish up then. So I will continue my speech in 3, 2, 1. I analyzed to you why. The reason why capitalism was so bad in the way it was in Earth is because entire regions were excluded from the table when power was being distributed. The reason why this is different and likely to be implemented differently is because of diversity and progressivism, the idea that you start from a base level and you have individuals who've seen the worst harms of this capitalism. It means they have an incentive to use diversity as a leverage to have better outcomes. The actors within this world have incentives to have a better world. We think that's something very, very important from opening government. I rest. So I didn't have time to analyze. Yes. So
All right. We thank Prime Minister for that speech. We then invite Leader of Opposition to present the case for the opening opposition side. Here. Hello, the floor is yours.
Just to be clear, I hope you can hear me.
You might have to speak up a little bit there.
Am I audible now? Is it better?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'll take PIs anytime from the second minute. CG shoot. And I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. Panel. OG is painting for you a very far-fetched world. The year is 3736, which means humanity has survived long enough to suffer the adversity of climate change and even solve the problem, because we would have been extinct had we not solved it before the year 3736. So the world that is dystopian cannot run in this debate. Secondly, If at a point where technology is able to send you to Mars, it means you're able to also cater for diseases favorably here on Earth. There's no need for us to focus on solving Mars problems while we can't even cure the pandemics and the COVID-19s. We've seen human innovation do impossible things. We think this is something that's possible. So there's nothing going to kill you. There's no zombie apocalypse the way these guys are ideally trying to make it look. I think their world is completely far-fetched. What does the context of 3736 look like? It just looks like present day humanity. Nothing completely different, nothing completely worse, just human beings existing with human nature, meaning then that the competition for resources is still available here as well as it is on Mars. But secondly, it means that human nature is not extracted, meaning that even if you go to Mars, there's no reason that they'll be inclusive. I don't know why she thinks that if you're black and all of a sudden you go to Mars, you'll be accepted. If human beings are racist till the year 37, 36, then the black people will still get nothing. Probably even the black person will not be the first one to be given the ticket to Mars. But notice, panel, the thing that they don't tell you that is completely far-fetched, and this is why we are not going to Mars, is that there is no chance of return. And I think they miss that information in this info slide. But before that, let me set context so that opposition has a fairer chance to win the debate. One, the Earth is very comfortable. It's a comfortable place. Why is this the thing? Because humanity has solved probably the issues of climate change. We can infer this from the info slide because you have the whole idea of even it being a choice. Was it completely drastic? Then humanity would force everybody to move to Mars. This is a choice where you have to choose whether you go or choose not to go. So it depends on your choice, not ideally any urgency or any necessity. It's about you ideally wanting to go or not wanting to go. So it's a choice principle thing. Secondly, the life on Mars and what ideally is described as in the info slide is habitable. Habitable is not comfortable. Habitable means that you have the basic things you require to survive: food, clothing, shelter. You have no comforts, meaning there's no technology that would make your life extremely great or grandiose. You basically have been able to master basic survival skills. So we've been able to grow food, we've been able to live in a shelter or have oxygen through maybe nuclear explosions that created an atmosphere or things like those. But notice, it's still a new environment. And this is why we beat out these guys. These guys have to come and tell you why uncertainty is the best thing to go to, despite human nature still being prevalent. We think we win on one thing: familiarity. Notice, any human being is more likely to survive once you're familiar with your environment and the environment around you. But notice, a different planet means that you don't know what they're doing there because we've not had communication with these guys. We just know we've been sending individuals, which means there's even a likelihood that as much as we've been sending individuals there, we don't know how many have survived, which means there's unfamiliar territory that you're chartering yourself into. What if you're the first person to go there and immediately you die? We don't know how they live, we don't know their culture. We do believe, yes, that there's a chance they survive, but at the end of the day, what ideally helps you survive is the guidance. Notice, you're normally safe in places where you're familiar. That's what gives humanity the feeling to go ahead. This is something that they cannot guarantee on their world. In their world, they guarantee uncertainty, and you cannot buy uncertainty in this debate as a winning argument. But let's look at how human beings think and how ideally they prioritize things. Human beings prioritize relationships for two reasons, and this is why we can't go, because it means you forgo all your relationships. One, safety. You like the fact that you're within people you trust. This means that it's people you trust through either your acquired family. So not necessarily your biological family. You could also have your acquired family, adopted families, friend groups. These are the people that give you meaning and keep life going. Notice, when you go to Mars, you disconnect completely from this, which takes away from the second thing. The second thing that human beings prioritize is comfort, because you like being where you know, where you can control the environment and control the things you do and be able to predict certain uncertainties. Notice, the fact that we don't know what's going to happen the moment we land there is extremely difficult. The fact that we have no clue how many people have also been there makes it extremely difficult for us to ascertain and say that somebody would actively receive you there. Secondly, we think there's an absence of necessity, and this is our winning argument for you to go to Mars on three layers. One, you lose your family members. You can't communicate with them. You can't get back to Mars. You don't know when the technology will be developed for you to come back. The technology already allows you to go, but it's a one-way trip. And this is 37, 36. Human beings have been working on this since 2010, 2019. It took us 1,736 years. It is possible to infer that it could take you
You
another
are
100 or 200 years for you to do this. And the humanity lifespan has probably not increased. So it's not like we're immortal. We just have the same old 100 years marks if you're living life. But I'll take the POI. Yes, DSM.
okay. So your argument is actually funny. People travel, people relocate from different countries, and they don't give a damn about their family. Why should that be something we should care about?
great. You transfer and relocate to other countries that you have information prior to. The reason you move, maybe let's say DSM from Nigeria to Australia, is you know what Australia looks like, you have friends there, or you have someone who will guide you when you're there. Notice on this other end, you just have human beings we've sent there that we've not been able to reach for the past 100 and something years, which means you can't ascertain your safety, you can't ascertain that you'll escape the problems of society. Second, if you're escaping war or the problems of humanities that ideally we think government will run like both of them, it completely is antithetical, because where human beings arise, humanity problems will arise, which means that the war will more likely occur. Because if we're exploiting resources in mass, as population grows, you're more likely to have the competition for the resources that they're trying to escape. We think it is better for us to die on Earth because we don't contribute to the destruction of a whole other planet. The moment we go there and decide to repopulate or populate that entire area, it means our lineage has contributed to the destruction of two planets. Notice, it's not like human beings will actively say, let's control ourselves, let's be better. If we already fixed the Earth, then the problem that will occur in Mars is now people will actively exploit the resources further without any concern, because they think they have the technology to remedy the decision of the overexploitation that occurs in society without recognizing the ramifications that are present. And notice, at the worst part, the secondary argument as to why we live or why we don't live is it goes against humanity principles. Human beings have founded themselves and ideally been able to survive based on the idea of community. So being human means that you'll always look for community to survive. Abandoning the community that is there for your survival and for your own self gain is antithetical to your human nature. So you living is basically you saying you do not agree to human nature, which is completely difficult. There is no necessity, there is no urgency. All that's there, panel, is uncertainty. It's like walking into an abyss hoping to see a light at the end of the tunnel. That light at the end of the tunnel might be the train coming to kill you. At the end of the day,
Time.
panel, we are better off being familiar.
All right. We thank the leader of opposition for that speech. We then invite Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case for opening government. Here. DPM, the floor is yours. Deputy Prime Minister, can you hear me?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please, there's a some echo in the background.
Okay, now is everything okay? Like, am I audible and all that?
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me get my timer. For POIs, kindly type it on the chat space. I'll try my best to take them. If not, no hard feelings. Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So panel from the get-go, you can't buy into OO because OO is literally strong manning a case whereby that human beings inherently haven't faced any urgency or any need towards going to Mars. Them basically coming to say that by 3076 that human beings will have evolved to a point whereby that we can mysteriously and mystically solve all the issues that currently present doesn't necessarily fly. Why am I saying that? One intuition pump. Back in the 1800s, we literally had the Black Plague, which was like killing everyone in Europe and majority of human population. What happened? Human population died. Fast forward to 2020, we have another version of the Black Plague called COVID-19. And what happened? COVID-19 literally killed majority of the human race. If not, it hospitalized majority of people. So if we have the same intuition path, it basically means 1,000 years down the line when 3070 something happens, that human beings will be stuck in the same position whereby there's a new issue that has arisen that is currently almost wiping out the whole human population at that time, and that there's an inherent need for actually us to like desire to colonize and desire to like actually explore the space exploration horizons or something of that gist. Okay, so panel onto the main case. My partner already mentioned that meritocracy and a global alliance. This kind of removes any aspect of opposition coming to say that it's going to lead to some sort of elitism, or it's going to lead to some sort of, let's say, negligence or exploitation, or let's say segregation for minorities or something of the sort. Where do I go with this in its entirety? One key thing is that, one, currently in status quo, things are really, really bad. We're literally seeing African countries being exploited for its natural resources. We're literally seeing European countries having a population decline. We're literally seeing counties such as Florida in the States having flash flooding whenever it rains. What does this mean? This means that there's an inherent need of actually wanting to save the human species. Why do we want to go under, like, let's say, having policies and principles that were set in the 1990s, like, for example, the Paris Agreement, or even like post-Cold War, where USA and Russia said we are not going to use nukes, only for them to wanting to use nukes right now? Why do we want to inherently buy into the capitalistic nature and the animalistic nature that human beings inherently have, and have the notion that, you know what, let's let it be? But the minute now we go into Mars, we literally have people who have experienced the suffering of Earth. We have literally seen people who have known that for generations and generations, that if we allow the same animalistic capacities, or we allow the same capitalistic societies to exist, we are going to literally shoot ourselves in the foot. So what does this mean? This means that, one, we already have an aspect of innovation and, let's say, some sort of technological advancement that has happened to a point whereby if we move to Mars, we'll be able to find a way to be self-sufficient and, like, to be self-capable. What does this mean? If we'll have a way of, let's say, mining asteroids on Mars in order to earn a living, then need be, if we find a way of using the technology that has taken us to Mars to even explore more space colonies, like, let's say, Uranus, or even a new galaxy, all in well, what does this mean? This means that now we are taking the human values that we have realized are good and actually beneficial for society, and putting it into more places by realizing that the current experiences that we have are detrimental to societies. What does this mean? This means that if opposition will come in and say that even the colonies on Mars are going to be detrimental in nature, whereby we are going to be having a man-eat-man society, I don't think that flies. This one is one key thing. Tell mention that human beings need companionship or an aspect of community to survive. Now ask yourself this: you're literally on a new one. You are trying to survive. What does this mean? You need to cater for survival. It means that you now cater for survival. Human beings inherently are tended to, like, care for one another in order to make sure that applies. Like, think about it when human beings were evolving. When you were cavemen, we literally had to listen to our next neighbor who we hate so that you can be able to kill that direct and actually eat meat at the end of the day. Now, what does this mean? This means that, one, people will now actually consider human collaboration, or, let's say, aspects of human nature that are good in order to make sure survivability comes into play. What does this mean? This means that the aspect of, let's say, comfort, we kind of say that comfort sure will be, like, in the short term might not be felt, but I think a POA that was asked by CG was huge. Like, it was really, really important. We tend to travel to countries. We tend to have long distance relationship. It means that we can be able to focus such short term aspects of what. Don't you think that also mean that we can mean human survivability and, like, it extrapolates better benefits to society as large? I think it's better. Say that I can decide to forgo my family, but I can be able to create 10 to 5 to people to be able to forgo that aspect of comfort. Life that might last for 20 years. One key thing that you need to remember is that, one, unless they can inherently show us aspect of agency or aspect of need, or let's say that status quo is currently developed, whereby the inherent issues will mysteriously disappear, maybe that's when I then be able to provide a credible case. If not, they already aspire exploration and they aspire the aspect of conquering challenges. We have the white people conquering African countries because they wanted to show I'm the best explorer. They now put it in the aspect of now asking a space colonial aspect. We literally want for the best race on galaxy. By doing this, we're going to be aspiring logical devices, or actually go into STEM careers in order to make sure that this will be able to be continued in the long term. Mars people, but also for the Earth people who are left. It will actually, I want to be better in society so that it can be me who's going to Mars. And for those who are in Mars, it will actually want to inspire them to be better so that it can be me who will go for the next venture, which will be, let's say, Uranus, or let's say Saturn, or let's say Pluto. So, panel, one key thing is people on Earth will know that you have sent people on Mars. So they want to be better so that they can be able to get people on Mars. Giving any something can hurry, that's necessarily show you why the benefits outweigh even the consequences in the first place. But just remember one key thing that has been happening in Earth for various years. Human beings are trying to create mechanisms to solve it, but that's necessarily being feasible. This means that, one, the mean it shows it's the most feasible and the most urgent need. Secondly, maybe we kind of show that even the means human beings tend to evolve, we tend to have, or is maintained ended. Oh, okay. Tends to see an aspect of evolution happening, and evolution takes steps, telling me that within one knows and he has the issue with fly and the issue with seriously disappear issue by with diseases. And lastly, panel. One key thing is that human beings will have inspiration. Human beings will want to develop themselves in a greater aspect so that they can conquer economies, so that they can be able to innovate more things. And in order for all that to happen, human beings will actually and want to actually understand each other. For collaboration will enable all this to happen. Survivability is the one key thing that I think maybe that's then and only then that you can be able to, because you get to really be present on Earth and you're able to show that people are social in nature and you're able to show that this community is necessary. Thank you.
All right. I think it's a have a position to summarize the case of operation and bring the top out to a close. Here.
Bella,
Yes,
Waste
am I on?
check weed. Uh,
Okay, so I'll take remote POI, and my time will start in my now. So this process is going to take like 40. That's what
Position here. Can you hear me? Please pause. Can you hear me? Yes, that's audible. Your voice sounds a little bit.
louder.
Yes, please. Audible you are.
Oh, okay. Assuming see this house.
It's still a bit shaky. I don't know if there's something you can do about that. Try reading the motion again. Or like
Humanity has developed. All right, assuming
still struggling to hear you. I don't know if it's the problem is the mic. I really don't know. It's
oh
not as clear. All right, are you good?
I know whether it works.
Okay, just read the motion one more time.
Okay. Assuming feasibility, this house would
Okay.
marks.
Yeah, that's perfect. Please proceed.
All right. Wait. Yep, my time was starting at first word. It comes in comparison with first of all, after 1,000 years of development, we won't face the problem of of environmental problems in of 3,000 years, and we won't go to thus conquer that part. And continue to tell you that it is a high risk that we do not want to take. We are abandoning our families, we're abandoning the place that surrounds us. Why is this important? First, in our community, we humans live together. And if you want to go to Mars, we're either that it is able for us to live. It is it doesn't mean that it's already. We take the assertion that it has already developed. It also in our worst case, let's say, yes, it develops into a community, but it still doesn't take, it will have conquered all of the, all the problems that now exist in Earth will also exist in another place, because it's not the place that causes the problem. It's not like the social issues are caused by human beings instead of the place where human beings are. So Mars, there's still going to be wars because it's people who start wars. Thus, problems cannot be solved simply by moving to another place. As that case, we also cannot prove to us. Thus, how can we build a it out there when we already take a point that you can go, yes, but you're not like surely going to be coming back. Thus, the high risk is not only abandoning a kid for a time, but also you're taking the risk of never coming back again. And we don't see the point of taking that risk because it is suitable here. And also, when coming to a comparison of certainty, is that you're unable to, like, human beings cannot be competitive for resources and agree for a global alliance. So, where everything is equal. This is an extreme case, and that it is unable to be proven and unable to be taken for our sides. Thus, we tell you here that it is a high risk that we'll take, and also humanity, like humans, seeks for living together and seeks for this safetyness and comfort that is very important for also human development. You cannot individually be very successful out from a society. Thus, even if you're in Mars, you have those resources. If human being continues to develop there, you will still like you'll still be competitive for resources, and those resources, every resources have a limit. So you can't just, even if in our opponent's side, yeah, you have environmental problems, you go to Mars and then you continue to develop in Mars, and then Mars also has environmental problems. That doesn't work. And that isn't what a good solution that we seek for. And also, we're not going for Mars because first, we cannot take the risk. Second of all, we don't see the point. We have already developed in Earth until the year like 3,736. So until all this is, it's already like 100 years, 1,000 years before us. We suit our lives in Earth. Thus, if you travel to Mars, you not only take the risk but also sacrifice what you have already built up here in Earth. You need to start all over again in Mars, and also suiting the, and also like moving people, and it will also be a big waste of resource. Okay, continuing, we so here's a comparison between the both sides. We tell you the possibility for all people to develop, for all people to go there. It is it takes time, and during the time, the people who gets there first and the people who gets there last, it will cause problems because like everyone is born in Earth at the same time, right? Our ancestors are all here at the same time, but it's different from Mars. You travel there, you get the land and you get the resources. That causes problems. And the first, I don't know, the first company to build, they're the first country to go and build their foundation there. That all causes a problem if you want to build a society there on Mars. So this is a risk. This is what we face in the first place. That also causes a lot of instability. You cannot build a world of peace up there because of what I've just mentioned. Okay. And second of all, did I have a POI?
Yes, I have a POI. So it's like we take to the extent that you, if we went to your case, which is to say that you already have advanced technology, don't you think you already have a significant capacity to deal with these environmental issues even at the point in which they happen in Mars?
You have the you cannot assume that you have the technology to solve every problem. We still need to like we take that you the technology to transfer people to Mars, but now we tell you, like my partner tells you that you're not even sure that you're able to transfer them back. You can't just you can't say that you're able to. You have the technology so you can deal with all those problems there. It is like society problem. Like technology and politics cannot deal with it. It cannot be solved at the same time. You have the technology doesn't mean that you can solve those political problems that you face in Mars. So with all these, and we also prove to you that it will be even a more severe problem because of the resource that you get in different times conquering in Mars, and also because of human doesn't change its like humans nature, so that you're unable to make people just be kind all of a sudden, when you get to Mars, you're unable to build a society that is what's so equal. And so, until you develop to a place that you want, like a human cannot develop to a place that you want. You won't be in any better situation, even if you first. Second of all, you won't be taking a big risk, be sacrificing a lot if you want to travel. And that's just to tell you that our Earth right now is already a good, and if you travel there, it's already a place that suits for us right now. That cost during causing that time, people are sacrificing time and even their lives and their to for things to be achieved.
All right, we then get to the position for that brings the opening out to a close. We then start the closing out for us. Here. Floor is yours.
All right, Chair. I believe it's very, very audible. I'm breaking because my network is not stable. I'll just contact my partner. I'm currently in a WhatsApp chat space, so I would definitely no PR guys in chat space. Take a pause within my speech to take a picture of my time. Well, I would I'm setting up my time. I'll start my speech shortly. All right. Cool. So starting my speech in 3, 2. Let's quickly take a government context about climate change. They have to go to Mars from opening government. The reason why this is important is because we do for either shafting opening government debate to what is not necessary. But I think it's quite important for us to know. Still most likely have things around climate issues. Best case scenario, in a world where more people go to Mars on our side of the house, it's most likely means that we're able to like have much more things like population that will still like damage the distances. The reason why this is true is what happens over there. It means no government are most likely to where the need for doing these things is based on things like escapism or the need for us. If there are already actions that are already being carried out in a world where we get to 37, 36, so that can be held for closing government in a world we ought to be. What is this debate about? This debate is necessarily about choice metric. Why should any individual in the majority of instances choose to take and you don't have an opportunity to sort of like it's the harm thereof? Like that's the most important strategy of you returning from that journey. But let's first of all establish that is consistent in all human endeavor. And I think closing opposition most likely want to engage this. The reason why we for things like opt-out mechanisms is in a world where humans' experiences conform to their expectation. You see, mess you up. In the next 4 years, you are able to vote them out, and then you vote for the reason why opt-out mechanism is most. That opt-out mechanism is not something that is most likely in all situations, but do with things around what people choice metrics, and that's exactly what even if we concede that the inability of individuals to run the earth is a big problem with human nature and out of this big problem that want to embark on this journey. things, where does it look like to go to Mars? To go to Mars. This one is sponsored by capitalists who want You have to reach out to them. You have the potential to talk with them, know things well. But secondly, you have the potential to travel and meet them if maybe your time frame allows you and you can then do that. To prove that individual are going to have the incentive to want to move in a way, but secondly, the position and the condition that you keep people that love you, given the trade-off you have to make. Closing government make it quick. Three.
Since that individuals like pride themselves on adventure and being anti-fragile, why do this move is necessarily bad for things such as innovation?
Great. The thing is, people are adventurous, but the choices humans make are highly pressed on the extent of opt-out that exist. So you're probably not going to want to take a drastic action so that the reversal of that action is something that's probably going to hurt you in a specific way. Principally, the lack of existence of an opt-out makes the choice in of it viable. We think risks are only justified when what exists in the most charitable way possible. But the tough position you put people that love you in, your happiness is going to be maximized when people that you want move to these new planets to move on, like want to travel with you. Government says you are probably never going to achieve the happiness of on Earth, etc. The last thing then is adjust analysis makes it worse off because and subjecting yourself to it is probably not to do, given that the trade-off is managing the year. Anyways, proud to oppose.
All right, we thank for that speech. We thank all of God's case. Yeah. Government, the floor is yours.
I hope somebody was shocked.
Yes, you're audible.
Just a minute. Okay, so I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. And as feasibility, this household, what do we get from side opposition? Basically, the opening and the closing opposition, they all argue what things with relationships, though CEO tries to differentiate themselves from their opening by talking about the idea of transition leads to mass. But if you get one already give that the feasibility. So when they try to talk about the whole idea of how they do that, it does not really make sense. Similar thing when it comes to their opening as they're talking about the whole idea of this or the that it's against humanity and the survival. We're not going to debate the aspect of abortion, but this survival. We're running from our side. That it would be the capitalists that would tell us the things to expect what is there. Why is this important? We don't have to sit back and actually green on what is happening at Mars. Been to Mars, and these are the people who are going to tell us it's why, because the people who are money and all that. So the people who are giving is this information reliable? So and have invested in this is created in the abortion. Let's dive into what transparency in general. So if you're willing to credit this whole idea of saving Mars, then you OG that talks about climate change escapism and population control. Because if you want to save Mars, it means that OG goes wrong to say that you have to save Earth, and that's the number of people who are on Earth, which is to debate the bad things that are happening on Earth because we believe some bad things can happen on Mars. We cannot debate about the likelihood of debate is supposed to be about why is it bad for someone to make that choice. I'm here to show you why actually it is not a problem for someone to wake up one to go to Mars. But for the people that you're going to Mars, you leave the people that live in a very critical position. We try to explain to you the idea of relationships and love and importance. The only reason relationships are important to us is because we attach value to them. Where does this value come from? This value comes from the experience we have. Where do you get the experience? Interaction with people. And what does Mars have to offer to you? Interaction with people who are from different walks of life. Yeah. This is a trait that people are going to meet. So no one is being rejected. No one is going to be forced to go to Mars. So different people are making this choice to go to Mars. Because different people have different and new experiences. And therefore they have a new meaning of life. So as people are interact together, they get a new meaning of life, a new experience, and that's how they derive value and relationship. Still about the people living critical state. But yeah, day in, day out, people will love them more. Even the people who have not died whom we love but are toxic, we learn to move on from them. If we can move on from such things, why can someone not move on from the fact that maybe the person you're madly in love with has gone to Mars? Remember, if you really love someone, I believe you respect the choice they make, especially if it gives them happiness. Remember, no one is being pushed to make this choice. But someone would make this choice. Why? It's because they derive something at the end of it all. And what is that they're deriving? It is happiness. That is human aspiration value. That value is with happiness. Humans generally value their happiness. And how where are they going to get this happiness from? They can only get this happiness if they create it for themselves. And they cannot create this value, this happiness themselves if they do not have the individual autonomy to make their own choices. Thereby prioritizing, they decide to prioritize other people's own happiness. Just because my mother loves me so much, so I'll ignore all the things like that. At the end of the day, I'll not be achieving anything. And the other thing will show you finally that for you to use this kind of happiness, or for any kind of success you want in life, there is a trade-off to make. And this is what the debate is showing us. You're going to it's a choice you make. Maybe it's why you use your happiness and fulfillment. There is always a trade-off. What is that trade-off? The trade-off is that you will not be able to come back to your people. So if someone knows this fact and they still go ahead to make this choice, it means that they are ready to live by the consequence of this. And why is that important for them? They have made this choice. So meaning that they're willing to live their life impactfully in that direction because they have made that choice for themselves. They feel it is what, regardless of what awaits for them. And why is this important still in the happiness aspect? It is an incentive for them to maximize the happiness. They have gone there to yield the happiness they want to capacity. So they'll make sure that they enjoy it to fullness because they know this is the only place where I'm going to get the happiness that I've been searching for. So therefore, I have to live to the fullest one. And then the other thing, we talk about the social income in the new one. Mars will be a new world for these new experiences. Things to clarify and to show you why ways about all the other sides in this debate. About going to Mars, we show you that people are not going there blind. They already have information that is given to them by people who have already been consumed in this case. And the other to go to Mars. We show you why we prioritize the needs of the actor in this case. But still tries to prioritize the other forces around the actor without considering the fact why would this person at the end of the day make this choice to decide to go to Mars at the end of this point. And also when you try to talk about the society at that point, for example, why would then someone decide to make a choice? It's most probably because they're not getting the fulfillment they want on Earth. But for them to decide at that point to go to Mars, you all have to show us if they really think they can make any sense in this. And also, when you talk about the whole experience, I think we are the side that how to relationship and values. What determines this quality of life? It's your life. If you determine but it's how shit it is going to be. So if my choice is to go to Mars because I feel that's how I will get the best balance of it, then I don't see a problem with it at the end of it all. And at the end of it all, why should a person's interest matter more in this case when we talk of living or moving on with their way on it. Who best brings out the interest of the actor? Why is the choice bad or good in the people have shown you inherently why this choice matters and why it is important. With that, I respect it.
All right. We thank Governor Week for that speech that summarized the Gov case. We then invite the opposition group to summarize the case for open and to conclude this debate. Sorry, guys, just give me a minute, just 1 minute. All right, invite opposition whip.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. QI again in the tech space. I'll prioritize the Canadian government specifically. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Three problems with the closing government case. The first, on choice. Closing government says people should be able to have the choice to explore a new life, to have new to take on adventures. The problem here don't explain the extent of choice, because what your choice right? So what benefit are you going to accrue on your side that is going to make the decision proportionate to what you are going to lose on the factual? They don't answer this on that choice. The problem with their choice making ability is that that choice is someone else in a difficult position. Closing the whip says, oh, you need to prioritize the need of this person making this choice. I don't think there's a specific actor in this debate because it's not a specific actor motion. So who is the specific actor that we need to prioritize their needs? It means at best there needs to be a normative analysis on the extent to which an argument it gives utility to the individual and all other persons that exist within them. The third thing is, at best, they achieve their choice utility and get the analysis that they want. Problem with their claim is, like I said, puts people that they love and people that they had a ton of human because we say that this is akin to death. Note, there is no analysis whatsoever that responds to our this is just similar to death, given that it is never returned. I think it is particularly important to respond to that claim for two reasons. The first is human life and human experiences premised on a chain of interactions that are built on multiple relationships with however, the value you get is premised on the extent of dependence, on the extent of relation you have with all other people that live within you. But secondly, given that no man is an island, it is possible that you're probably going to have a new phase of relationship with people that are going to move to mass with you. The reason why this is particularly bad is that these persons in themselves do not particularly share the same experience that you have in status quo. But lastly, I think we need to interrogate what exactly it looks like moving there. What are you moving with? It means for someone that is very rich, what's the amount of money you are going to have in that particular world you are moving into? But secondly, what's the value for the transaction, the financial benefit you're probably going to have in that very narrative or experience in of itself? It means that you can't just weigh the impact of the choice claim just because you say the only one. math gives to these people, that there's a potential that you never, there's a need to evaluate in comparison what the trade-off is going to be and whether it is justified on their side. The second thing they say is, and I think it's just part of the setup from closing government, because they say, oh, who's probably going to sponsor this? They say it's capitalist. We say the problem we have with moving with mass is that mass is a capitalist project in and of itself because it is experimental at best. Given the trajectory of human evolution and technological advancement, I think it's important for you to think, why has humans not been able to establish connection mechanisms between these two worlds? Because at best, we could assume that given the trajectory and the experience, the expertise of humans, it's possible that when we move to mass, there should be a level of communication that people have so that you can communicate when you're on mass with people on Earth. But that communication doesn't exist, which means that humans are probably not as smart as that. That this project is still experimental at best. That people are going to have it's something that is not just out of a vacuum. It means you need to be able to interrogate what exactly this looks like on the side of the house. The last thing I'm going to say here then is, given the experimental nature of it, I don't think it's enough for you to say it's a habitable colony. And that's at best. I don't think you can have enough here to assume that your world is just pitch perfect in of itself, given that this is a debate about interrogating the incentive for people to move or not. We can make those claims. Opening government should.
Even if you don't buy the proportional capacity you get from like starting out in an internet advanced technology, we think in opening government the only best excuse with the lottery these people probably at the point which they participate are willing to forgo all of these things that you're talking about before.
So the idea is not different from the lottery in status quo, because moving to mass as a poor person doesn't mean you're automatically going to be rich. So it doesn't mean that the lives of people are significantly going to change in a particular way that gives them. I don't think moving to mass also just changes your life exclusively. You're probably going there for a new experience, all of that. The last response is, I think it's best for you anyways, because I don't think this is a project that ability enough. But for people just wanting to go to Mars, so it means you're probably going to have rich guys. But secondly, those rich guys again might not even want to move anyways, because people are still going to be unsure whether or not going to Mars is going to be the best thing to do. Why then do we need opening opposition? Did analyze is the level of experience you are trying to have, and how it means that you put people around you in a tough position, given that there's a chance that you never return. I think this is important because for you to weigh the decision and the incentive to move to Mars, you need to interrogate what it's going to look like and the implications for the lives that people have had. The second thing here is, unlike opening opposition, we do assume that you are probably going to have a good life there. The reason why you should not move anyway is just because position. But lastly, the nature of human means that Earth is probably not as doomed God thinks wants you to believe. Proud to oppose.
All right. We think the opposition group program is the good to close. We thank all speakers for contributing to what was an amazing round. It's a silent round, so you wouldn't get any feedback or notification from me. Best of luck in the next rounds. When you see the results on how you can probably make feedback. Cheers, guys.
you